Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Well, another season is about to begin as we get ready here at the Autodromo Enzo Edino Ferrari in Imola for what will be the first of 10 rounds of Season 6 of the High Point Racing's Imsa Series. Hello everybody, welcome to Racer Nexus. Alex Goldschmidt with you. Alongside me in the booth will be Brian Zinn, and on production behind the scenes, directing the action as it happens, Marshall Crocker. This particular circuit, located at the Piazza Ayrton Senna de Silva, opened back in April of 1953. And it measures just a shade over 3 miles. It does have 17 corners according to our track map, but it also does have a few more corners than that to boot. 137 feet over sea level, runs anti-clockwise, and has been in use for quite a few decades. It means that we have 10 rounds ahead of us. This is going to be a very, very lengthy calendar as we start here at Imola. Next week, we head to Spa-Francorchamps for round 2. We then take a trip stateside for the first time in the calendar to Circuit of the Americas on August the 6th. August the 13th, we return to the United Kingdom and to the home of British Motorsport at Silverstone before a trip across the pond to Florida as Daytona will host round number 5 on August 20th. Then it's a 2-week break before the second half of the season kicks off in Montreal in Canada. Watkins Glen on September 10th, which will be the first of our double points round, starts round 7. Then it's a trip to South America to Interlagos with the Temple of Speed, Autodromo Monza on September 24th. On October the 1st, the Algarve will host the final round of the season. Brian, you know what? It's really good to have this series back, and a real pleasure to have the help and the assistance of Carlos Ruiz Padilla to bring this series back to life, because boy, what a calendar have we got for GTP, LMP2, GTD and GTD Pro here for Season 6.
Yeah, absolutely. They took what worked so well in Season 5 and have expanded it here for Season 6 with 10 rounds now. And fantastic action last season, and I expect nothing less from our competitors going into this season as well. I, for one, have to highlight round 3 at COTA. It is my home track. It is criminally underused on the iRacing service, and all the people that hate the track limits be damned. But it is a fantastic circuit, produces fantastic racing, and I'm excited to see what multi-class action will do around there. But fantastic calendar. Every single weekend is going to be action-packed, have its own set of unique challenges, and I'm ready for it.
Well, firstly, before we get trackside for qualifying, let's take you through the format and then also take you through the sponsors of Season 6. It's a 20-minute total qualifying and then a 60-minute race. 60% fuel for all competitors and 1 fast repair. Open setup for all drivers, meaning that they will have to learn the machines as they go along the 10-round calendar. First black flag will be at 15 incident points, and then each further 10 incident points, they will have another drive-through exercise by the iRacing service. But this series could not be possible without the help of the following sponsors. Firstly, IMO Setups, providing professional sim racing setups used by all HPR drivers and helps to elevate the standard of racing across all classes. As per last season, all class race winners get a 1-month HIMO subscription as a win for victory. Monster Designs, providing custom race liveries, professional designs and branding for drivers and teams. Admin Box, who are an organizational tool platform providing broadcast and operational support, helps race control, league operations and structure. And we have to add 2 more to that. Firstly, a big thank you to Smile Theory that have come on board for this season. Along with that, Colorist in that as well. And a big thank you to Carlos Ruiz Padilla, who has helped with his team at HPR to bring this series back to life. We're coming down into the final 60 seconds of qualifying as GTP and LMP2 are out on the circuit at the moment. GTD looks like pole position has already been decided with the 96 McLaren of Curtis Polisu, and Daniel Pino in the number 63 Ford Mustang has taken pole position here in the Pro class as we are riding on board with Ryan Frankenberry, who dives into the pit lane. Now, for those people wondering about this straightaway, it is not quite the traditional straight, and through my experience at Porsche Sprint Challenge Suisse a few weeks ago, make that nearly 4 weeks ago, it was right and bang in the middle of the summer heat wave where temperatures were hitting over 100, well, we were hitting 104 degrees Fahrenheit air temp. Track temp was more like 120, and in the cockpits it was about 143 for some of the 992.1 Cup class competitors. But the checkered flag is out for the session, and it looks like Adolfo Perez, the man from Mexico, is going to lead a Mexican 1-2 in terms of GTP. Nicolás Sanchez, who runs in the Porsche Pro-Am division on season 10. Wig Santiago, the man from Puerto Rico, in his 963 Porsche is going to put it P5. But again, as we saw in season 5, Brian, the competition has just gone up another level in how close the gaps are with regards to qualifying.
Yeah, absolutely. The High Point Racing League took about 3 weeks off between championships, but I don't think any of these drivers did. They've come out firing right where they left off in season 5, and we're all the better for it, being able to call such fantastic action, and the viewers are in for a treat as well. As like you said, absolute slimmest of margins between all of our top 5 in all 4 classes that we have out here tonight.
Yeah, and obviously with the change in the format of the series itself, it also means that we are going to have a few more prizes up for grabs, which means that by registering, there's going to be a 1-year HIMO subscription giveaway, livery by Monster Designs, $25 iRacing credits or cash, a free entry for Season 7, and an Imsa shirt. Our season winners will get $30 plus an entry to Season 7. But, well, the Imola circuit is quite a fearsome one. It has to be respected, and it does go to show that it doesn't matter who you are, folks, whatever your skill level within the world of simulated racing, it is a true test. And as you can see, 83 degrees Fahrenheit is going to be the air temp. We are a little bit more than that, 33 degrees centigrade, but it looks like, well, the last few seconds are ticking over. And to be honest, Brian, with the fact we've got 33 plus cars on the grid, it is, well, 35 cars on the grid, it is going to be a true test tonight for 60 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to have our own little WEC show with traffic management on the challenging circuit Autodromo Enzo Dino Ferrari, otherwise known as Imola. It's one of my favorite circuits. I would say it's kind of underrated. Alex, I'm curious to get your thoughts on that throughout the race, but sits in the shadow of Monza when it comes to Italian road racing tracks. Obviously, Monza the temple of speed, and but Imola holds its own. It's had fantastic history over the years that it's been in operation, and it's always such a blast to drive. And whether you've got the challenges of the Variante Tamburello or Tosa or the Aqua Minerale, no point on this track is there any lacking of action happening at any point in time.
Yeah, definitely. I think it is very much an on. It's a circuit that you have to be at to really understand its technicality. And I think one of the other things with regards to it is going to be the case of, well, Variante Alta is no longer known as Variante Alta by the circuit. It's actually known as Grassini. So, but we've got a grid to get through because we're not that far away from going green here at Imola for the first of 10 rounds of this series. And it is going to be Adolfo Perez that is going to start from pole position with fellow Mexican Adrian Puebla alongside on the front row. Andrew Bruce and Ryan Frankenberry will be on row 2. Wig Santiago and Chris Nauman, row 3. Donald Ingham Jr. and Tim Keane complete the top 8 overall, and that rounds out your grid in GTP. Nicolay Sanchez and TC Watkins are on row 5, completing the top 10. Jace Larson and Carlos Ruiz Padilla on row 6. That's going to be ahead of Jason Blaine and Nicholas Lanciers, with Matthew Mitchell and Jose Valentin rounding out the top 16. Go to GTD Pro, it's Daniel Pino and Christian Ruiz rounding out the first row. Then behind them it's going to be GTD class leader Curtis Polisu and Jacob Gruber in the number 18 Ferrari rounding out the top 20. Landon Duggar and Pierre Laporte ran out row 11 ahead of the likes of the following drivers: Guilherme Chavez, Nicolas Lafrance. Then we go down the order: Will Atom, Donald Powell, Gonzalo Abascal, Don Beinpich rounding out the top 28. Andrew Davis and Liam Hubble completing the top 30. Jason Lepan, Gavin Canberra, Alan Bueno, Jay Allegrini and Alex Melgar rounding out your 35 strong grid. It is time for the talking to stop. It is time for the racing to begin. And Adolfo Perez, always fast in the number 92 963 Porsche Hybrid. So we are set to get ready here in this part of the world to go racing. Really excited, of course, with this series. It is going to be the staggered starts because the BMW M2 pace car is in pit lane. We are set and ready. It's a long, long wait before these drivers get the green flag here at the Autodromo Enzo Dino Ferrari. Perez and Puebla on the front row. Barney, the flag marshal, waiting. And are we going to go green here at Imola? We are set and ready. And it's going to be the case of Perez and Puebla are now going to get the green flag. We're underway here at Imola for the first time for season 6. And a good start by the number 92. As Bruce and Frankenberry go wheel to wheel into Tamburello. Bruce already getting ahead of the number 420 Cadillac. Wig Santiago not that far behind. LMP2 gets underway with TC Watkins. Oh, and Nicholas Lanciers has a big moment through the gravel. It's not exactly how you want to start your evening, as gravel's already been pushed on the circuit with Pino and Ruiz wheel to wheel. Ruiz having just come off the back of winning the season opener for season 10 of the XPR GT World Challenge just this past Sunday night. It's, of all places, Spa-Francorchamps, and season 10 GTWC will be heading here in just a few days' time. There's been a bit more of a kick-up of dust, but Curtis Polisu looking really racy in that 96 McLaren here, Brian, because he's right with a few other drivers, and that is Jacob Gruber in the number 18 Ferrari, who's rounding out the top 3 GTD Pro at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. And we saw this all last season as well. Polisu and some of the other fast GT drivers instantly mixing it up with our GTD Pro contingent. And that's the fantastic thing about GT racing in general. You have this mixing of driver skill. Even though they're different classes, they're still fighting for overall position. And Polisu definitely has the pace to not only win GTD, but win GT outright between both classes. So we'll be interested to see how he handles the curbs and the elevation around Imola here tonight, but certainly wasting no time getting onto the back of Jacob Grubb in front of him trying to run down that Ferrari. But running away with things, Adrian Puebla and Adolfo Perez have already got themselves out to a 1.5-second gap over Bruce and the Acura, certainly coming up to tire temperature quicker than the other GTP cars, but that hot track temp is definitely helping them out, no doubt.
Yeah, as we run on board with Gonzalo Abascal in the number 17 Mercedes, getting a little bit squeezed, so to speak. But you could just see Jason Lapan is actually trying to get his way through on Abascal, and you can just see that Gavin Cobra is in the mix there as well in the number 36. So yeah, it's just going to be the case of how do you do? You know, it's sort of like this is the first time that these drivers are really putting the feelers out, and we're getting a real good sense of how competitive this is as the big overlord, as they call him here at HPR. Carlos Ruiz Padilla closing in on the number 2 car. Nicolás Sanchez as TC Watkins has bolted like a rocket out of a cannon. He's nearly 2 seconds up the road as they go through. We're going to call this for the benefits of everybody else, Variante Alta. I'm not going to start changing names despite tracks having decided to do so here, Brian. But again, it is the case of, you know, these first few moments and getting the tyres and the brakes up to temp, running at 90 degrees Fahrenheit on the track, 82.4 degrees Fahrenheit on the air. But Perez at the minute is still leading by about 0.7 of a second, but Ruiz Padilla is not out of the woods yet because he's got Jace Lawson closing in on his 6.
Yeah, absolutely. TC Watkins absolutely checked out. He's almost 2 seconds ahead of this battle going on. But Imola is such a fantastic circuit because not only are you battling your competitors, but you're also battling the track with the curbs and the gravel traps and everything else. You really can't afford to make a mistake. Not only would you lose positioning to the guy that you're battling with, but you're going to lose a lot of time and potentially a couple of body parts off your car as well, as Wig Santiago is trying to run down the Cadillac in front of him in his Porsche 963 in that beautiful Hertz Joe delivery. I'm so bummed that they switched to Cadillac machinery in real life, but thankfully through the sim we get to still live on as in an alternate universe, we can say, Alex.
Yeah, and the full metal jacket side of things, so to speak. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, there's always going to be a change here or there. But you know what? Sometimes if you need to make a change, it's as good as having a rest. Let's put it that way. But we are nearly 5 minutes in to this 60-minute encounter here at Imola as we run on board with Adrian Puebla in the HPR Ferrari 499 GTP car. See wrestling even with the steering wheel, like minute adjustments. But these GTPs, and you know this very well, Brian. Obviously, with being active on the sim racing sphere in terms of being a driver, the GTPs, they are a really fast weapon around here at Imola. But you've just got to be so precise with your inputs, and one wrong move can send you quickly into the barriers.
Absolutely, especially with a very hot track like we have here tonight. And like you said, GTP machinery is like driving on a knife edge, and it's such a rewarding experience when you get it right, but it's so easy to just overstep, and next thing you know, you're in a four-wheel drift, or you've looped the car around and you're going, what in the world did I do wrong? And you have to go back and look at the data to figure out if maybe you had a couple of degrees extra steering input, or maybe got on the throttle just a hair too early. And sometimes that's all it takes to upset these machinery, but they're such beautiful things to watch. And I mean, this is a sign of fantastic racing. I mean, we're already over 5 minutes in, and it feels like we just took the green flag 30 seconds ago. So fantastic battles. Wig Santiago still trying to get up into the top 3. This is the battle for 3rd place right here on screen between Bruce Keane and Santiago. 3 different makes, 3 different approaches to GTP rule. sets, but in battle here also in LMP2 with Jace Larson and Carlos Ruiz Padilla. We saw these two battle quite a bit last season, and they seem to have picked up right where things left off in Season 5, haven't they, Alex?
Yeah, they definitely have, Brian. I mean, to be honest with you, Carlos Ruiz Padilla is battling in the Pro-Am division of GT World Challenge, so I think one of the things is it's nice to see the drivers that are in the GT World Challenge move up and test themselves a little bit in prototype machinery, as we're on board with Pierre Laporte, the man from Canada, P3 in the GTD division, closing in on the other of the Lamborghinis, and it's nice to see the Lamborghini Huracan GT3 get a little bit of love this season round. So Landon Duggar in the 169 being chased down by Pierre Laporte as Gonzalo Abascal trying to get round the outside through into and he tackled with Andrew Davis. Oh, and Davis is into the backwards into the barriers in the number 25 Aston Martin. He has to avoid all the flotsam and jetsam. Let's take a look at the replay. So Abascal was trying to go and throw the outside haymaker a la Muhammad Ali, and unfortunately bang straight away. I think Abascal should have ducked in behind Andrew Davis there, Brian.
Yeah, kind of hard to make a move going into Alta there, and I'm not sure if the curb played a part in that or not, but definitely just a case of keep your nose stuck in there, and unfortunately bad things tend to happen when you don't have much overlap there. So unfortunate luck for Davis. I was just about to comment, you were commenting how it's nice to see the Lamborghini getting some love. I was going to say it's nice to see the Aston getting some love. My team actually drove the Aston in the Spa 24-hour special event and absolutely adored that car, and it's underrated, does not get seen a whole lot in officials. And well, unfortunately, mentally I had a commentator's curse on Andrew Davis, so apologies for that, but hopefully he can recover. Didn't look like too much damage on the left rear of that Vantage GT3, but already our GTP leaders working through said GT traffic, and this is where things are about to get interesting. I feel Imola is not that wide of a circuit, not too many passes to try and get traffic behind you, but the closing rates, as you just see there, as we're on board with Adrian Puebla, these GTPs are rocket ships around here compared to GT3 machinery. Yeah,
they were just going down the hill through Piratella and then through Aquamarine. Now it's the run up the hill into Variante Alta for the downhill jaunt into Rivazza, the double left-hander. Just about avoiding those sausage goes because these GTP and Dallara P217 LMP2 cars are so low to the ground. That is Guilherme Chavez, the Brazilian, closing in. And that is going to be a move on our leader in GTD, Curtis Polisu, in the number 96 Sandpiper Mechanical McLaren. So good move by Guilherme on that particular occasion. Carlos Ruiz Padilla is now being closed in for P3 by Jace Larson. Again, these two locking into battle into Variante Alta. Sparks flying from the undercarriage of Jace Larson's number 24 Dallara, as they're going to make the run down the hill. And it is quite deceptive, but there's a big pile up at Tamburello, and that's including the two leaders. Oh no!
What has happened there?
Gavin
That
Clemmer
is shocking to see.
Yeah, I'm not. Let's just have a look. Let's pick this apart. So Puebla gets around the outside, and Puebla gets around the outside of Cambridge. Cambridge beats into Perez. Oh my goodness me, and it's caused absolute chaos, and that means that Andrew Bruce and Wig Santiago now finding themselves battling for the overall lead. But I think it's mainly, you're going to see, I'm wondering if Gavin Cambridge, he looks like he's had a failure of some kind. He's probably tried to engage the brake, and the car's just gone straight on. May not have been of his making, it might have been a hardware failure.
The only other thing I can think of is, we'll see it again, but Puebla cuts right in front of Cambrai here, and I think that just unsights him to where the break point is. And he just, with the chaos going in there, I think he just loses his brake marker, and unfortunately, absolute mayhem has broken out there. Kind of shocking to see Perez be able to drive away. That looked like a very big hit into the left rear of that 963, but it has turned the GTP class battle up on its end. As you said, Bruce has inherited the lead in the Acura, and he's got Wig Santiago. That battle that was for third is now for the overall lead.
Well, drama hits us, and we haven't even got Season 6 truly underway here for HPR. But nevertheless, Wig Santiago and Andrew Bruce, you've also got to think about the fact that Ryan Frankenberry was not that far behind either. He's about 2.5 seconds away from the lead battle for GTB and Top Honours. Nicholas Lanciers and Matthew Mitchell, they've both had a drama in the bottom part of the LMP2 class. And there is Mitchell, that is off of Variante Alta. And there is Lanciers. Oh dear. Say that lightning strikes twice here at Imola. It's been at 2 different points on the circuit. First at Tamburello. Now we have something else happen. As well, it wasn't Lancier's fault. It was Mitchell just completely losing the back end. I think just maybe has missed his braking point, hit the brakes, and then all of a sudden it's just rotated the car 180 and put him around. So Lancier's not at fault for that battle. But in the meantime, well, Luis Padilla and Larson, they've got some GTD traffic to get through. Managed to expedite that very, very nicely through at Tosa as they go up the hill to head towards the downhill sweeping left-hander here at Pilatella. It's a very deceptive part of the circuit, very much like a lot of circuits these days that where they've been built in, like, say, anywhere between the 1930s to the 1950s, Brian, that it follows the natural topography of the circuit.
Yeah, right. Instead of changing the topography to suit whatever your track layout is, they use the topography to create the circuit. And that's the beautiful thing about these old circuits that have remained. Unfortunately, we have lost some to redevelopment or just to inactivity. But unfortunately, yeah, you hear complaints with the Tilka domes, as they call them, you know, the modern F1 circuits, and it's very flat or very predictive curves and doesn't utilize the natural elevations that exist. And so it's always welcoming to come to a track like Imola where you've got those natural dips and rises. And the Piratella Aqua Minerale section is has wonderful flow to it that you just don't find on other circuits.
I have to say, I'm loving the livery that Landon Duggard's rocking on the 169 Lamborghini. He's got the Valvoline livery on that, so a bit like Mark Miller in Apex this Porsche Cup Tuesdays, where Mark Miller actually rocked some Mobil 1 livery on his Porsche 992.2 Cup car. That's also part of the broadcast schedule here at Racer Nexus. But more to the point, again, things are now starting after that, after I think probably one of the biggest incidents that we've seen on an opening couple of corners in a lap here in HPR Imsa, where the two leaders have just ended up being part of what was just an absolute mess, let's call it that.
Yeah, and it looks like just a massive racing incident, nothing malicious or anything, but that can be racing sometimes, as frustrating as it is to be the innocent party collected in it, but that's how things go, and you just have to find a way to recover. As we talked about at the top of the show, 10 rounds this season, so plenty of opportunity to recover lost points, but you can't keep having mistakes or find yourself in situations that lose out time or positioning to your competitors. So will be interesting to see how these drivers respond. We still have 45 minutes left to go in this race before we can start thinking about future weeks.
Yeah, and one of the big things is that for Season 6, everyone actually has an opportunity of to drop scores over the course of the season. Watkins Glen and Monza will be the double points rounds. That'll be at round 7 and round 9 respectively, whereby there will be wet weather, let's put it that way. As again, Puebla and Perez, who are now 3 quarters of a second apart, as Puebla is now closing in on the 420 caddy at V Series R of Ryan Frankenberry, as they make their way through the GTD field, as we ride on board with the Mexican on the number 21 Ferrari, and he gets so close under braking. Puebla seems to be really brake biased heavily towards the front end, so that car can turn on a sixpence here, but that's really giving him the confidence to throw the car around the circuit with good precision here, Brian, as he's chasing down Frankenberry.
Yeah, absolutely. Puebla is just an absolute weapon with his pace behind the wheel of that Ferrari as he gets a little bit ambitious there going into the chicane, and unfortunately is going to lose out a lot of time as now he's got the Porsche behind him of Perez to contend with.
But Perez might have an opportunity here to close on in as he's going to get through. And that looks to be, I think, possibly Christian Ruiz that will be, that he might have just gotten through, I think. But, well, there's one Ferrari with a Formula 1 style livery from 2026. That might, yeah, that is Christian Ruiz, who's got Jacob Gruber right behind him. So it's the battle of the Cavallino Rampantes on home circuitry as well, because let's not forget that this circuit actually owned by Ferrari itself. And when you think Maranello itself is only about an hour and 20 minutes drive by car from this locality. But again, Ruiz Padilla and Larson, they have been interlocked at the front and rear diffusers respectively, but Larson looking for a run here on Ruiz Padilla. He's going to go to the outside. That is very brave going through into Tosa. But Ruiz Padilla, the man from Puerto Rico, keeps ahead in the number 14 car as they go up the hill in towards the downhill left-hander here at Piratella. This is great showmanship by both drivers as Larson is well, he won't think of doing a move there unless Ruiz Padilla opens the door. They've got to avoid the sausage curbing both left and right-hand side of the exit point as, well, Wig Santiago has finally made the move on Andrew Bruce and leads by over 3 seconds. So Andrew Bruce might have had a little bit of drama in the last moment or two. But,
I do believe I saw an off-track get flagged for him.
Let's see. Oh, that's a big old loss that he. Wig Santiago had the presence of mind saying, I'm just keeping to the left-hand side of that Acura. I do not want any part of it, as we're going to see on board. This is going to be coming out of Tamburello. Yeah, just completely, I think he might have just got on the land pedal a little bit too hard. As Liam Habul is the first one to get a black flag, so that is going to be a drive-through penalty for the number 75 Lamborghini that currently runs at the minute P6 and GTD as everyone's stumbling through the curbing. That's Frankenberry versus Puebla versus Perez. Perez is the overall fastest lap of the race. So the battle for the final step on the GTP rostrum here is starting to heat up as we've got just over 41 minutes on the timer here, Brian.
Yeah, Wig Santiago going back to the pass for the lead. That reminded me of when you're crossing the rickety old bridge and they tell you don't look down. Wig Santiago is saying don't look to the right at the car coming at me there. But tip of the hat to Bruce. That was one heck of a save in the Acura. Put that thing in a four-wheel drift and managed to keep it straight. Granted, he lost a few seconds to Santiago, but that could have been a way worse accident there. So tip of the hat to Andrew. That's the save of the race for me so far. And, well, he's still stayed ahead of Frankenberry and the rest of the GTP field. So all in all, it could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I think it's going to be push comes to shove, but here comes Puebla to the inside of Frankenberry. That's a good move there by the number 21 Ferrari. So now we've got another one. That's going to be Mitchell, Matthew Mitchell in the LMP2 class is going to be having to serve a drive-through penalty as Adrian Puebla. That's a great move through into Piratella and gets the job done. But he's just having to watch his limits there as the Ferrari 296 GT3 car stumbles, having to keep quickly out of the way. Liam Habul now serves his drive-through penalty. John Weinreich in the 72 Porsche is the first one to dive into pit lane as here comes Perez. Nearly got the run on Frankenberry there as they're going to head down the hill into Rivat. So they've got a GT3. It's one of the Burks. I think that is Gavin Cambra that is the one that they've just managed to circumnavigate their way around in the number 36 car. Again, this is going to be all the while as Matthew Mitchell serves his black flag penalty with the drive-through. Still, this is going to be a case of fighting back as Ruiz Padilla and Larson are wheel to wheel. This is down the hill. Larson to the outside. He's going to have the inside line for Aqua Minerale and he gets the job done. Ruiz Padilla, you know, credit where credit is due between these two, Brian. They're stern competitors, but they're giving each other racing room and racing respect as Perez is still trying to stick his nose up the inside of Frankenberry for P4 and GTP.
Yeah, the move that Puebla had on the outside of Aqua Minerale was absolutely ballsy, but had to be done as he had the pace and he's trying to run away from this battle between Frankenberry and Perez and try and put a little bit of space between him. And for Perez, he's trying not to get held up by the Cadillac of Frankenberry. He knows he's got a little bit better pace as he's going to try and use that GTD car to work closer. Not sure he's going to try and make the same move around Aqua Minerale as Sanchez did, but, no. Hold station going up the hill into Alta.
Oh, and Frankenberry nearly getting the back end of that car loose, but Carlos Ruiz Padilla, more dramas for the Puerto Rican in the number 14 car. He's dropped more time that was coming out of Tamburello. Let's have a look at the Racer Nexus replay. So he's going to close in to Jace Larson. So turns it in and locks up the left front and goes straight through the gravel. So all that momentum he carried through into the first triple apex point of the circuit, the second one of which being Aqua Minerale. Ruiz Padilla has lost the best part of over a second through that slight mistake as Curtis Polisu still running in the lead of GTD. And I have to say, Curtis is really giving the likes of giving them Chavez a bit of a run for their money. What you have to consider here is that Curtis Polisu is a man that really took everyone to school last season in Season 5.
Indeed, he had an absolute dominant performance in GTD, and he's picking up right where things left off and hanging on to the tail end of the GTD Pro leaders, but definitely seems to have some competition on pace across both classes so far from what we've seen through the first 24 odd minutes or so into Season 6. Certainly a lot of racing ahead, so we'll see how things pan out, but for the time being, Curtis Polisu definitely is picking up where things left off at the end of Season 5 and running away with things in GTD at the moment.
Yeah, so we are about 6.5 minutes from half-time here at the opening round of the High Point Racing Imsa Series here from Autodromo Enzo Edino Ferrari here at Imola in Italy. And there is Nicolai Sanchez in the number 2 Kraken Insurance car. And, well, he's actually leading the LMP2 class, so kudos to him.
Yeah, something has happened to TC Watkins. He had a dominant lead, but I don't see him having dived to pit lane, so not sure if he had an incident that has caused him to relinquish the lead.
That's what I was thinking, because he bolted to about a 2 to 3 second advantage within the first 5 minutes. Oh, right, here's a replay. He's coming up behind. Oh, no. This is Tamburello. 2 GT3 cars side by side. And, well, he gets caught up in the backwash of everything that was happening in front of him because the 2 in front make contact. TC Watkins has no other alternative. Let's have a look on the onboard. So it's a Porsche versus the Lamborghini. I think one of which will be Liam Habol and the other one might be Alan Bueno, possibly, or John Weinrich. And yeah, it was John Weinrich in the number 72 car. And well, that's a real shame for TC Watkins, running under the Fury Simsport banner in the number 32 car. Fury Simsport have raced in the Sim Racing Republic Sports Car Championship in previous seasons, and unfortunately for the man that put it on pole and is now P5 in the class, but there is still an opportunity, I think, Brian, maybe to make amends in the pit stop phase, because obviously with the 60% fuel limits in all of the vehicles, if Watkins can dust himself off, pick himself back up, and just go on a little bit of a fuel saving mission, he might be able to get an additional lap on some of the competitors in front of him, as Gonzalo Abascal is the first of our total GTD and GTD Pro field that has pitted here on lap number 14 for them.
Yeah, unfortunately for TC, the Porsche and the Lamborghini became a bit of a rolling roadblock there going into Tamburello. And as you said, we'll have to see if his pace allows him to make up any ground. He's only about 3.5 seconds back of the next car in class, which would be Jason Blaine, as Tim Keane is the first of our front runners to come down pit road. Had a little bit of damage that you saw fixed there on the left front, taking use of that faster pair that's available to our racers in the High Point Racing Imsa Series. Wonder how many other folks will be coming down pit road. And speaking of the devil, here is Gavin Cambry and his Mercedes. Our GTD competitor comes down for his first service of the night. A little bit before halfway, I wonder if we will see 2 pit stops out of some of our drivers here tonight. Alex, I know that was kind of a split field last season, those that could make it on one stop and those that had to make a splash near the end of the race. So we'll see how that pans out through this season, see if any of our drivers maybe learn some new skills in the 3-week off season.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one, really, to ascertain that. I think it's just more the case of this is the first season where you've got to look at the longer game. It's a spread out championship and it goes right up until the first week of August. Sorry, October. First week of August. I'm wishing time away here, Brian. What am I talking about here? I need to get my thought process into in the right way. But yeah, I mean, this has now put Jace Larson into the race lead. So Nicolay Sanchez, TC Watkins, Carlos Ruiz Padilla, Jason Blade, they have all pitted. Nicolay Sanchez, well, 17.6 seconds in the pit lane, stationary. Carlos Ruiz Padilla, 27.7 seconds. Jason Blaine, 27.3. TC Watkins, 27.4. And now here comes the run out of pit lane. They're going to come straight into traffic. So it is the case that those tyres and brakes will have gotten a little bit colder. And here comes Nicolas Lanciers with a big run of speed. He's yet to, well, he owes us a pit stop. I think realistically, we're just before the halfway mark, as you can see. Adolfo Perez nearly bump drafting Ryan Frankenberry along the track. I think nigh on pushing him along as they go into Acqua Minerale. So this is going to be quite crucial. How I think Perez, you know, has kept rather calm. He's just been a little bit sort of on edge, I think would be the terminology here, as Jace Larson is going to be coming into the pit lane now. Matthew Mitchell comes in for his actual pit stop, having served his drive-through penalty earlier in the race, having hit those initial 15 incident points. But oh, that's a bit of a wobble there by Puebla, right in front of Frankenberry. As Wig Santiago now pits from the race lead. Andrew Bruce stays out. So we have got a quartet leading the way. And they are not that far away from each other. We're talking about a second covering the top four at the moment. So Santiago pits, Ingham Jr. and Naumann. Here comes Alex Melgar, the other of the bright red Ferraris, coming out of pit lane, currently down in penultimate place in the GTD division and also of the race itself. But one of the more impressive things here is that all 35 drivers that took to the grid nearly 30 minutes ago are still racing. We're on board with the number 92 of Mexico's Adolfo Perez. Fastest lap of the race for him so far, a 1:32.178 as we head through down the left-hander of Piratella before this very complex set of corners. It's downhill, on the brakes, down the gears, uphill, turn right, up the power. It is going to be the case. Adrian Puebla now takes the race lead, going up towards Variante Alta, ahead of Andrew Bruce, as Wig Santiago has come out of the come back out onto the circuit, and he is off. The man from Puerto Rico completely rearranged the rear end of that number 30 Porsche, and that could be game over for Wig Santiago, who's in 5th gear. Let's have a look at the replay. And it's coming down into Variante Villeneuve. That's Liam in front of him. That is not what you want, but still, Wig Santiago could have maybe just waited a second or two to get the move done. He was not on the right line, I fear, but that has now put him into pit lane. With that in mind, as we hit half-time in the race, just a quick reminder, we've got another one in the gravel. That's Nicolas Lanciers off of Tamburello, and Adolfo Perez, amidst that dust cloud, just about saves it by going through the gravel in his own right. He is now the new race leader, as Puebla, Bruce, Frankenberry, Ingham Jr., Santiago, they're all in the pits. Santiago, that is a second trip he did not want, but nevertheless, we have to just remind you a quick, brief run-through of the sponsors here for Season 6 of HPR Imsa. So, of course, our good friends at Hymo Setups, our title sponsor, providing professional sim racing setups used by HPR drivers, helping to elevate the standard of racing across all classes. Monster Designs, custom race liveries, professional designing some brandings for teams. Oh, as this is 3 wide, that never is going to go well. That's 2 Dolores. LMP2s, Larson versus Blaine for P3, and they were trying to get through. I think that was on the Lamborghini of Landon Duggar in the 169. Admin box providing a league operational structure tool which helps race control, broadcasting, organisation, smile theory and colorist. I had to quickly get through those sponsors. Vosley, but I cannot believe that Wig Santiago, I'm sure that there is going to be a lot of discussion about the unwritten rule of sports cars, and that, Brian, and we both know this, is that if you are the faster vehicle, you've got to make the move safely, but I'm not too sure what Liam Abul's strategy was quite there.
Yeah, from that initial replay that we saw, it looked like Habul might have drifted over. Maybe he thought that Santiago had already cleared him there, or just misjudged the distance, or not sure what happened there. But either way, unfortunately, ends up with Santiago hard into the barriers, as we see Jason Lepan in the Stealth and Chrome Mustang getting a little help off the track, thanks to Jason Blaine.
Oi.
Oh! And then compounded with the awful rejoin in front of Pierre Laporte, who is not going to be very happy with the Mustang driver there. It's certainly one way to make a bad situation worse, unfortunately, for Jason Lepan there.
Yeah, looks like that car was crabbing as well, as Chris Nauman will rejoin, more than likely, in 6th position. But, Pierre Laporte with big damage to the front of the Lamborghini, the hood on the car. Well, you can see how bad the damage is. The hood's pushed in, the bumper's out of alignment, and the pan was pretty much crabbing in the number 19 Ford Mustang. But meantime, Adolfo Perez, I did say, might use some benefits of getting into that pit lane a little bit later, and he did exactly that. So he now has a lead, and it seems like normal service is resumed as he tries to get his way through. That will be on Jace Larson in the LMP2 division. So everyone up until 9th have been lapped so far overall in this race. But I think Adolfo Perez is, I think he's definitely got the bit between his teeth as the Mexican in the 92 Porsche here, Brian. So he is deciding, right, okay, yes, an incident did happen at Tamburello, but you know what? I'm not going to let that faze me. That man was in absolute imperious form towards the end of Season 5, and he's continued that run here into Season 6. And Andrew Bruce, who at one point was leading, well, he's going to be like thinking, well, you never know, it might be the point of keeping my powder dry. Well, he nearly loses back into the second part of Rivazza as Nicolas Lanciers picks up a black flag. Will Atom in the number 33 BMW is now in the pits. Jay Allegrini, number 13, he's had a drama. Adrian Puebla now gets hit, and he's off the track. Puebla, I just saw, I think that was coming out of Tamburello. He has just been given a black flag penalty, so Puebla's dropped it. Let's have a look. So he's going to be coming through at a big rate of speed. That's on the 24 of Jace Larson. And there's a little bit of a touch. And around goes Puebla, locks up the brakes. But that just put him over the edge. I think it was just, with regards to even with the slightest moment, I'm not too sure. No, it looks like Puebla just did that all on his own. Larson really didn't have anything to factor into that, really, apart from being in his way.
I think Larson might have gotten a little bit eager getting on the gas and gave him a little bit of tap on the back end there, unfortunately. We saw something similar with when Perez went by Larson as well, going through Piratella. He was very eager to try and crossover, getting a little bit quicker on the acceleration there. And that's the unfortunate thing, the dynamic between LMP2 and GTP. The GTPs have slightly lower cornering speed but better acceleration, and so you get these kind of awkward situations if you're in an LMP2 car where you actually get a better corner exit, and it takes a couple seconds for the GTP to get everything, all systems go, and the rocket fire to go off into the distance. So just a little bit of an awkward situation there. We'd have to look at the overhead to see if there was some contact there. But either way, unfortunately for Puebla, as he makes his way down pit road a second time, sure, probably fixing some damage that he picked up there. It's a very frustrating situation to find himself in.
Yeah, we're going to have a look at an overhead. Big thank you to our producer, Marshall Crocker. Well, this is going to be going into, yeah, there was a lift. I think there might have been either a little bit of a touch or Mr. Netcode got involved there. And Pueblo had actually walloped the curve quite hard into Tamburello, maybe just to cover off any attempt from Larson to try and get by. When you think about it, the LMP2 cars are pretty quick in the corners compared with the GTPs when you're talking about less mass to deal with, as Andrew now goes in on Ryan Frankenberry. This is the battle for second and third in the GTP class and also the overall race classification here at Imola, as they're finding their way through back marker traffic, one of which will be, looks to be Christian Ruiz. They're going to fire their way past. We're on board on the front splitter cam of Ryan Frankenberry, and oh, he's going to get checked up here. That's not what they want, and that's Curtis Polisu, the GTD leader, gets in behind. Oh, a mess through Rivazza. I'm sorry to say that was completely unnecessary.
Yeah, the way the car faced through Polisu originally, I thought that he might have gotten away with it, but unfortunately the rest of it all caught up there. We don't see the big one very often in sports car racing, but I would qualify that one as the big one, Alex. Unfortunately, down into Rivazza there. A little bit of netcode saves him at first, but allows him to finish the pile drive maneuver. And, well, poor Jason Blaine is the innocent victim there. Literally had nowhere to go with a blocked track.
Oh, and it's TC Marshall to the inside, and then bang, there's the contact from Ingham Jr. Ruiz gets unsighted, and then, well, it's the choke slam followed by the last rights. If the Undertaker was involved there, I'm afraid. That is just a real shame for, I mean, let's put it this way. Curtis Polisu was very lucky that he didn't get any more compromise, because he was basically the one that decided, well, I'll try and put on my best Travis Pastrana manoeuvre, lit up the rear tyres on the 96 McLaren, managed to turn it 90 degrees to the left, then reverse backwards. So well played by Curtis Polisu. Liam Habul unfortunately gets another penalty, another black flag, and that's for hitting 10 incident points. He's not had an easy one in the, I have to say, that inspired livery. That's from, yeah, that's a MotoGP livery on that car. From the Pramac Ducati satellite team, and it also doesn't far represent, it's not that far off the livery. Well, it would have a bit more purple and red on it if it was Prima Ginzani Motorsport in Porsche Sprint Challenge Suisse on that car, but he's going to serve another drive-through penalty. Matthew Mitchell in the meantime is, but I think, yeah, like you say, Jace Larson took the biggest hit, because he got the choke slam, then the last rights, followed by a pile driver, and that's it for 24. Oh, goodness me, that Dolores seen better days.
Yeah, absolutely. He's going to be walking over to the spare parts trailer in the paddock looking for a new nose and maybe some new suspension bits as well. But, man, watching this again, the fact that Curtis Polisu got very little, if any, damage out of that is absolutely miraculous for our GTD leader. Especially after a couple of those secondary hits as more cars came piling in there. So GT3 damage model has made these things into tanks, it would appear, and just unfortunate classic example of watching that camera makes that look extremely worse than the outboard cameras that we had before. I'm sure the G meters on board these cars would definitely be tripped with those contacts there, and a mandatory trip to the medical center for evaluation would be required. But textbook example, unfortunately, for what you're not supposed to do in the faster class by the Acura driver, Andrew Bruce there. But when you're fighting in your own class, sometimes you get a little bit over your head. You just try and make something out of nothing, and unfortunately that's how it goes sometimes.
Yeah, I think another driver that pretty much dodged a bullet there was Christian Ruiz in the number 777 Ferrari, but even he didn't really get away scot-free, as someone's kicked up the dust coming out of Tamburello, and look, ahead of Adolfo Perez, Gonzalo Abascal, no rear bumper on the back of the number 17 Mercedes-Benz, so looks like he was battling away with the likes of Andrew Davis in front, so he's going to have considering the fact that Andrew Davis has made a welcome resumption up the order, and I think it's going to be all on Abascal's own, through into Tamburello, bumps over the sausage curbs. Well, the bumper has already gone anyway, and he just about held on. Code Brown clean up on aisle 3 for the Mexican, I'm afraid. And, well, he's going to be having no rear downforce apart from that rear wing. Daniel Pino, the Chilean driver, in the number 63 Ford, switches from switches from the might of Falterbach to the might of Detroit. And again, another fast pedaler. And that's the thing. One of the things I love about the fact that we do have a kind of North and South America representation. So we have Mexico, the United States, Puerto Rico, Canada, Brazil, and also Chile as well. And he's a very quick driver, is Dan Pino. He was a multi-time GT World Challenge race winner in season 9. Again, sometimes with switching cars, I think Pino's really found that the Mustang shares quite a lot of traits with the Mercedes-Benz in terms of its drivetrain, and he's really been the wheel man at the moment in the Pro Division, because he's nearly 16 seconds up the road ahead of the man from Brazil in the 37 McLaren, Guilherme Chaves, who has got Jacob Grube in the number 18 Ferrari closing in. So 2 cars that are very shortly going to be intertwined into battle as a lone Porsche, more than likely in the GTD side of things, trying to pick out the car number. Looks to be more than likely Alan Bueno in the number 31. And there's John Weinrich, who's stayed tried and tested true with Rexy being back in the series. Always good to see Rexy on the field, not just in the real life WeatherTech IMSA Sports Car Championship, but also to see it here at HPR IMSA.
Yeah, you talk about something that just instantly became a global sensation, and that's AO Racing with Rexy, Roxy, and Spike. And it's just been fantastic to see both in real life. I've been fortunate to see it a couple of times at Daytona for the Rolex 24 that happens at the end of every January, and also seeing it in the WEC when they ran a couple of seasons in the last years of the RSR, the GTE series, before they went to GT3 machinery. But you just talk about marketing brilliance coming out of the Gunnar Jeanette operation over there in just outside of Chicago, Illinois. And it seems to really invigorated the sports car fan base in general, and it's absolutely fantastic to see.
Yeah, as Nicolai Sanchez now in pit lane starts moving. So Carlos Ruiz Padilla becomes the new LMP2 class leader, as we have just 16 minutes on the ticker as we count down towards 0. Ruiz Padilla now about 1.7 seconds ahead of Steve Watkins, as unfortunately Alex Malgar in the number 9 Ferrari is going to have to serve a drive-through penalty. And there is the man himself. Lovely livery on that 296 GT3, as Ruiz Padilla has managed to get through. Watkins won't be that far behind, or I think it might have just, yes, I did see a glimmer of green on the shark fin of that Dallara P217. As we run aboard with the number 17 from Mexico, Gonzalo Abascal, currently P9 in the GTD classification, 26th overall, and has got a particular Porsche behind. That's the number 31 of Alan Bueno, as Jose Valentin, another one of the Puerto Rican sim racing fraternity that has joined us here for season 6, exits out of pit lane. And that is P5 in the LMP2 class, P11 overall. But there's been so much to talk about in this opening race here, Brian, that I think a lot of drivers are going to be thinking, when this race is over and we head to the next round next week, they're all going to be thinking, thank goodness we've got Imola out of the way. But then they've got to think, oh no, we've got Spa next.
Yeah, you elevate it to a different level of chaos that Spa typically attracts, and so certainly no respite for those drivers that have not had a good round one. But Spa is the land of opportunity for those that are willing to seize it. High risk, high reward sort of racing as TC Watkins comes out of the pits having done his second stop of the night. He had closed up within a second of Carlos Ruiz Padilla, so look for him to challenge for the lead once everybody cycles through their final pit stops. As we're under 15 minutes to go, all of a sudden, Alex, where is this race gone?
Yeah, it's like a faint breeze, well, which was quite warmly welcomed at the evening times about a month ago in the locality when I was there for Nicolay Sanchez gets passed by one of our GTP machines. Yeah, I think it's that's the thing about Imola. You think you've got time to breathe and around a 3-mile circuit, and because there's so much going on, you're like, what? How come we're over 46 minutes in? You know, like, where has that time gone? And that's the thing that we're going to have here at APR Imsa, folks. For every single round, which is going to be broadcasted live here every Thursday night here on Racer Nexus, believe you me, the variety of tracks, it is going to really put the drivers through the ringer. It is an open setup championship, so over the course of the 10 rounds, everyone will have a chance as to improve as Adrian Puebla. That was very uncharacteristic, and that was coming out of the guts. So let's have a look, because he's got Andrew Davis in front of him, and I think just by getting through, let's just see, is it on the brakes? Yeah, Puebla's done it again, and that is the second time he's had that kind of drama. You could have watched the rejoin, maybe waited a second or two to get going again. But, oh dear, insult to injury, I'm afraid, because Matthew Mitchell has picked up another black flag penalty, the number 69 car. It's not been a good one for the Canadian, but nevertheless, he's up 3 spots overall in the ranking side of things. Still P6 in class, and, well, that's still going to keep him ahead of Nicolas Lanciers, who has also picks up a couple of black flags, but I think the person's been struck with the curse of the black flag. Oh, no. John Weinrich and Rexy have gone off the track, and there's a meet flag, so return to garage. Could be on the cards for the number 72 car, and that is currently sitting 8th in GTD, well, make that 9th in GT3 because Gonzalo Abascal has gone past. As Alan Bueno fights off Alex Malgar, who's going to be very shortly into pit road for serving another black flag penalty. But this track, it does bite. It has that character. You've got to be willing to risk it a little bit, but you don't want to go over the limits of adhesion. And also I think the terminology comes in quite nicely. Doing an Alex verse where you've run out of talent.
Definitely, we've seen that tonight around here in the first 50, almost 50 minutes, just about, a few ticks above 10 minutes remaining. But Curtis Polisu, one of the lucky ones, as you saw, was involved in that huge incident right through this complex of corners just only about 5 minutes ago, I think, maybe a little bit longer ago, but somehow, some way lucked into very minimal, if any, damage to that McLaren, and he has rebuilt his GTD lead back out to almost 10 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, in the meantime, when you think about it, Adolfo Perez, he's 20 seconds up the road from Ryan Frankenberry. And when you think about it, to have that kind of a lead, it means that with 10 minutes to go, Adolfo Perez is pretty much, I think, here on cruise control. He can take his time. He does not need to go like crazy and push like a bat out of hell, but nevertheless still keep those lap times consistent. His last lap time was a low 33.2. Frankenberry's last lap was a mid to high 33.7. Nauman in the mid 34.3s, Ingham Jr. high 35.1s. So it looks like First Blood could be going to the way of the Mexican in the 92 Porsche 963 hybrid. He just seems to be really at one with the vehicle.
Yeah, and somebody we haven't really touched on through the race has been Chris Nauman in the number 87 Cadillac. He's ran a very quiet race, which we can't say about a lot of racers out here tonight, and he's up 3 spots from where he's qualified, and he's currently looking at walking away with an unexpected podium in round 1. So I'm sure for him, he's very happy. He may not have had a lot of direct competition, but sometimes that works to your favor because that means less chaos you end up getting in the middle of. Speaking of chaos, battle between Nikolai Sanchez and TC Watkins. And Puebla involved again. Not sure why he was going slow through there, but unfortunately that caused Nikolai to run wide, and TC Watkins almost ran into the back of the Ferrari GTB. Oh, he has a little bit of a bobble there.
And he gets a little bit of a touch from TC Watkins as well. He's currently 16 seconds behind Carlos Ruiz Padilla in terms of the LMP2 classification. Daniel Pino, in the meantime, is over 21 seconds ahead of Guilherme Chavez. So South America leading the way in, well, when you look at it, in this respect. Yeah, you've got Mexico leading in GTP, Puerto Rico in LMP2, Pro, it's Chile, and Canada in GTD. Is don't try and make it 3 wide, boys, please, please, please. And well, there's one lone BMW, and that was Will Atom threading the eye of the needle, and he just about, well, he makes a big old misstep coming out of Tamburello. He was lucky there, was Will Atom, but bearing in mind he's 9 seconds behind Donald Powell, as he's going to trying to get past the number 662 Pierre Laporte in the Lamborghini. They've got a LMP2 car right on their 6, and I think that might be Carlos Ruiz Padilla trying to find his way through, and you can see a little bit of a lift from the LMP2 car, just trying to get through there. That is Ruiz Padilla. He's going to get through here into Piratella. Well negotiated there by the man from Puerto Rico, as Laporte has Will Atom to the outside. Atom gets through, and well, Pierre Laporte's not liking that one bit because he's wanting that position back, even though he's a lap down on the man in the BMW number 33.
Yeah, I was just about to say that unless my timing and scoring is broken, I don't think this is a battle for overall position. So it's quite fascinating that they were fighting as hard as they were. But for the Lamborghini duo of Laporte and Habol, that is for position. And so Laporte, I'm sure, is wanting a little bit of a buffer to his competition behind in Liam Habol, as they now have to navigate the Acura GTP in front of them.
Yeah, that's going to be quite an interesting one, because this battle is for position. More importantly, this is for P8 and GTD. Liam Habol to the outside of Pierre Laporte, which is going to give him the inside line into Tamburello with just over 6 minutes on the ticker. Nicholas Lafrance has had a drama in GTD. He's dropped it off the circuit and has just picked up a black flag penalty. That's going to promote Landon Duggar in the 169 Lamborghini to second. And Donald Powell in the number 86 Corvette. So Nicholas Lafrance trying to get through on other traffic, and one of which, he got a touch there. I think that was Alex Melgar in the number 9 involved, and that has pushed Nicholas Lafrance over the 15-point incident limit, which now will mean that the man in P2 in GTD is going to lose that podium, I'm afraid. But the man in the Valvoline 169 Lamborghini, John Weinreich in the number 72 Rexy Porsche, has also had a drama. Of course, he did have a mechanical black flag. As Lafrance comes in to serve his penalty, Landon Duggar will take P2 in the GTD division. Donald Powell will be closing, but at the amount of speed that they're going to be, which I think, if I remember correctly, pit lane speed limit at Imola is, I think, 80 kph, which is 50 miles an hour. Is that right, Brian?
That sounds right to me.
So here comes Donald Powell in the 86 Corvette. Let's see, is he going to have enough speed to carry? Because Nicholas Lafrance is already out and is ahead. But now Donald Powell has a target in his crosshairs in the form of the number 118 Porsche 992 GT3R. So Donald Powell must be thanking his lucky stars that a podium might come his way. TC Watkins is in the pits in the number 32, and it's very much the case that these drivers are really finding that, well, this circuit is both physically and mentally demanding. It doesn't matter whether it's sim racing or full metal jacket racing here, Brian, that you're still under that significant amount of duress. You're having to deal with the force feedback through your wheel hub, through the steering wheel. You know, you're having to work overtime. Your forearms are going to, at this point, possibly start to cramp up a little bit. Sweating profusely, and you just want to get to that point where you can finally take a little bit of a breather and some hydration on board afterwards. And especially if you're a race winner, it might be a little bit of an alcoholic rehydration property there.
Yes, a little bit of recreating your own podium celebrations with the champagne or the shoey if you're feeling adventurous and a fan of Daniel Ricciardo, as unfortunately for Lanciers, he has picked up another black flag and as a reward, another trip down pit lane, unfortunately for incident point accumulation. Speaking of liveries, I do love the livery on Guillaume Chavez's McLaren there. I love that lime green, yellow, highlighter yellow, and satin black. Very, very prominent, very distinctive as Carlos Ruiz Padilla makes his second trip down to pit lane with under 3 minutes left. Unfortunately, I suspect was trying to fuel save to the end of the race, but just ran out of time as Nikolai Sanchez will inherit the lead.
Yeah, seems like our GTPs might be close to the bubble, but Adolfo Perez is on the penultimate lap of this race. Considering the top tier of the GTPs, he's running so consistent on lap times. He's been in the 33s pretty much most of the race. As we see a couple of the support team for G2 Racing, which is what Guilherme Chavez is part of. So the Guilherme Chavez McLaren support, fan group is in the chat here on Racer Nexus. A big thank you for everyone that has joined us so far. As Adolfo Perez just calmly, coolly through Rivazza is going to, well, down through Piratella. He's got Daniel Pino on his 6, and then all of a sudden Adrian Puebla's there, who's a lap down on the race leader. Well, Puebla is going to try and see if he can get that lap back. He's be on the lead lap by the time we hit the checkered, but I'm sure that Adolfo Perez will be very much mindful of that as Puebla's done it again, and he's just clipped the barriers. Oh dear, Adrian Puebla from the outside of the front row to outside of the top 5. It has not been a good run for the number 21 from Mexico, but Jacob Gruber closing in on Guilherme Chavez. So these two drivers are pretty much close to each other, but they have got that's Matthew Mitchell in between them. But the white flag is out. Adolfo Perez has just under 3 miles to go to pick up the first overall race win. He's got Will Atom to get through on, coming out of Tamburello and heading into Variante Villeneuve. But what a drive from this man. Despite the dramas at about a quarter of the race when we were going through into Tamburello, with all the madness happened with Gavin Canberra's unfortunate faux pas, let's say, going through into the exit point of Tamburello. Perez has got on with the job at hand, and he is 50% of the way through the 38th and final lap as Andrew Davis holds on to P6 in GTD.
Yeah, Andrew Bruce is now the next car behind Adrian Puebla, and with everything that has gone on, I'm sure not wanting to be in close proximity to the Ferrari driver, but uncharacteristically mistake-filled race for Puebla. Oh goodness, what has happened to our leader? Adolfo Perez just went straight on at Variante Alta.
Yeah, that's unusual, whether he's hit the sausage curbs, because he's just got a black flag penalty. He's going to have to dive in and serve that. Well, is he going to dive in and serve that? Because if he doesn't, that is going to knock him off. Yeah, he's going to take the checkered, but that is not going to make him the race winner. It's going to promote Ryan Frankenberry. How's about this for a development? Perez off at Variante Alta, and the man from Misfits Racing, who'd have thought of this? He started P4. Perez will take the win on the road, but he's going to get demoted down the order with a big penalty around 35 seconds. Ryan Frankenberry, I think, is going to inherit the victory in the Cadillac. Chris Naumann is going to take P3. But what can you say about that one? Nicolai Sanchez now making his way up the hill from Tosa. Let's have a look. Daniel Pino takes the win in GTD. Curtis Polisu is about to come through Rivazza for the final time, and he will take the opening win out of 10 in this 6th season. He comes out of Rivazza, the number 96 McLaren, powers its way across to the finish line. Polisu victorious here in the GTD division, and we just got one more to wait for, and here is Nicolai Sanchez. He's 20 seconds up the road from Carlos Ruiz Padilla, and there's no possibility, unless he makes a big faux pas in the next two left-handers, as the man from the USA in the number 2 car comes out of the first and now the last left-hander of Rivazza, as Nicolai Sanchez will win in LMP2 here in the opening round. Season 6 has gotten off with a bang here at the Autodromo Enzo Edino Ferrari. What can you say? There have been multiple dramas up and down the order. Adolfo Perez taking the win across the line, but I think that is not going to stand because he had a black flag. And there's no other driver that I see with their surname being Perez, so Frankenberry will inherit the win. What can you say about that, Brian? I cannot believe what we have just witnessed here at Imola in Italy for the past 60 minutes. Everything and everything got thrown into the HPR Imsa playbook tonight.
Yeah, you said gone off with a bang, literally and figuratively, sums up the race perfectly with all of the action that we saw on the track. And Perez is still being shown as the winner, so I don't know if that was a mechanical black flag or a black flag for incident. So we will have to monitor and see if there is an after the race adjustment from iRacing timing and scoring there. But as things stand, he might have gotten away with it. I'm not 100% sure, but that was just a very, very uncharacteristic mistake from Perez. Not sure, as you said, Alex, if he caught too much of the sausage curbs going through Alta, or perhaps had a mechanical disconnect or something that briefly disrupted his steering there, as the car appeared to go straight on into the outside wall. But talk about a tone setter for the season, eh?
Well, I think, to be honest with you, we haven't had any adjustment on our timing and scoring at the moment. But I think, really, as we see the Ayrton Senna Memorial, which I actually had, well, funny enough, after Porsche released it a few weeks ago here at Imola, I had the opportunity to take the small drive to the park, which is known as the Parco Acqua Minerale, funnily enough, to have a look at it and the amount of flags across the wall. But here, according to this, there it is. It has been confirmed. Adolfo Perez's black flag still stands, so Ryan Frankenberry is your race winner overall. It has been adjusted by the tune of 35 seconds. So unfortunately, Adolfo Perez, for a composite performance, demoted to P2. Chris Naumann third, ahead of Donald Ingham Jr. Andrew Bruce. What a fall from grace on the opening round of the season for the number 21 Ferrari of Adrian Puebla, with Wig Santiago and Tim Keane rounding out the 8. Nicolai Sanchez takes the win in LMP2 by just 17.5 seconds, ahead of Carlos Ruiz Padilla, with TC Watkins, our pole sitter in the class, rounding out the rostrum. Daniel Pino, in the meantime, takes the win in the GTD Pro division, ahead of Guilherme Chavez. So G2 Brazilian Team Sim Racing will be very happy with that one. And Warrior Racing's number 18 Ferrari of Jacob Gruber rounds out the top 3. Christian Ruiz could have been an easier one from the man from Puerto Rico. He ends up 4th in the class. Curtis Polisu, Landon Duggar and Nicolas Lafrance round out the top 3 in the GTD side of things, with 3 different manufacturers represented. McLaren wins ahead of Lamborghini and Porsche. Donald Powell Will Atom, Andrew Davis, Jason Le Pen, Gonzalo Abascal, the leading Mercedes, out of the finishers ahead of Pierre Laporte, Liam Habul for High Point Racing Tango, rounding out the top 10 with the Porsche of Alan Bueno, Alex Malgard, John Weinreich, Jay Allegrini and Gavin Cambry rounding out the 15 drivers. All cars, I'm pleased to report, in some way, shape or form, apart from Gavin Cambry, did make it to the end of the race. Right, so just about to get underway with our interview sessions here, and funnily enough, we do have one. I'm pleased to welcome this man back to victory lane from Chile. It's the number 63 Mustang, Daniel Pino, the first winner in GTD Pro for Season 6. Daniel, good to have you with us, buddy. Firstly, congratulations. Well done.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Daniel, let's be honest. Tough one out there with 4 different classes of racing, and you definitely had to make sure you kept out of the way of a few incidents.
Yeah, it's part of the endurance experience that I'm trying to avoid the classes fighting each other, and well, take advantage of that. It was pretty good, the car with the setup, IMO setups, very good always.
Yeah, and also when we first met, obviously GT World Challenge here on HBR last season, you've made a switch to Mustang power. An inspired choice, but looks to be a good one. You seem to be very happy with the car.
Yeah, right now is the easiest and funny car that I enjoy like driving. The only difference that in this race and every race I had to turn off the TC and the ABS so the car can get more speed.
Always a good thing when you got more straight line speed underneath your right foot. But firstly, Daniel, congratulations on the win here at Imola. And before we let you go, anyone you'd like to say thank you to for tonight's victory?
Yeah, to IMO Setup, our big sponsor main, Carlos, that he always invite me to race these leagues. HPR, my team, HPR main, that we're running tomorrow the 6 hour of Road America. So yeah, chicken dinner.
Indeed. Well, Daniel, thank you so much, buddy, as always, for your time, and we look forward to seeing you next week at round 2 at Spa. Congratulations.
Thanks, man.
Okay, so looks like well done to Daniel Pino, and I think standing by with our GTD class winner, Curtis Polisu. Brian, over to you, buddy.
Yeah, Curtis Polisu picking up right where Season 5 left off, an absolute dominant performance, but certainly not without your own set of adventures out there. Talk us through what your mindset was after the big one down there near the end of the lap.
Oh man, my heart stopped, but to my complete surprise, I had no damage somehow. So sometimes the sim racing gods give and sometimes they take away, but today they were kind to me.
Yeah, we were commenting up in the booth about that. It looked like netcode saved you. The Acura kind of phased through you a little bit, but unfortunately that allowed him to finish the aggressive maneuver. But after a couple of hits, your car drove away, and we were remarking about how clean it looks. So definitely, as you said, a lucky escape, but set the tone for a dominant performance. And how are you feeling after a round 1 victory for the rest of the season?
Oh, I mean, we'll see what the rest of the season holds. A couple new guys this year. The Lambos look quick behind. But yeah, tonight's race was awesome. Flow state most of the race, just banging in lap after lap. Imola is probably my favorite track, and it was good to come out here and get it done. So yeah, looking forward to Spa next week. Not my best track, but we'll see if we can figure something out in the next few days and give everyone another run for their money here.
Yeah, should be another exciting race to call. Spa always produces fantastic multi-class racing. But before we let you get out here and celebrate your round one victory, anybody you'd love to give a shout out to?
Yeah, the family tonight, the wife and kids. They allow me to do this on these Thursday nights, and I don't take it for granted, that's for sure. Also, Carlos and everybody at HPR for putting on this league and keeping it running and doing such a great job. So, such a fun place to come and race. Good group of guys.
Absolutely. Well, that was your GTD victor here tonight in round one at Imola Curtis Polisu, and hope to talk to you again next week at Spa. But looks like we have Nico Sanchez, our LMP2 victor here tonight. Alex, over to you.
Thank you very much, Brian. Nico, LMP2 as always here at HPR Imsa has been incredibly competitive, but you take the win here at the season opener for season 6 by over 17 seconds. Bit of a tough one to call, really. I think by our standards here in the commentary box, we saw some great racing, but you kept your powder dry, kept your nose clean, and ended up on top.
Yes, sir. Got a little lucky there. I'm not sure what happened to our boy. You guys will have to let me know about that.
Well, we do know that Carlos did have to make a second stop, which is around 7 seconds stationary in pit road. So maybe it was the case to maybe a little bit of a splash and dash might have been required, but Jace unfortunately retired on lap 22. He had big damage, I think, apparently, so called time on it. But yeah, like you say, it's there has to be a little bit of lady luck involved at times, doesn't there?
Oh yeah, I kind of figured it would go 37. It's funny, I was talking with Carlos about it because I didn't think we were going to be able to fuel save for all 37 laps. I originally calculated 36, but I decided to do 16, 10, and 10 with the final lap seeing where it was, and it ended up being 37 laps like I thought. So I just put 11 laps of fuel. Kind of got lucky, I guess. But yeah, it was an interesting strategy race, I thought. I think it would have been more interesting had we had the leader for the first couple laps. I can't remember who it was. I think it was Watkins. Wasn't it Watkins? Or was it?
Yeah, it was TC. He got him involved in a couple of dramas. I think he also didn't have the best run of luck. I think it's just like him with such a compact circuit that we did have a big melee going into Tamburello, which also involved the likes of Perez and Puebla in GTP. So I don't think anyone was able to take a breath here, yourself included, here at Imola tonight.
yeah. It was kind of fun. I like it like that. So.
And final question, thoughts about Spa next week for round 2? Should be a good one. A very different circuit, but still one that everyone needs to respect, of course.
Oh yeah, it's one of my favorites. So I'm excited. Looking forward to it.
Well, congratulations, Nico. Well done in the LMP2 class, taking the victory here at Imola. We'll see you next week for round 2 at Spa-Francorchamps. Congrats.
Yes, sir. Thanks, guys.
What a big thank you to all our class winners that we were able to speak with, apart from Ryan Frankenberry. But all 4 class winners tonight pick up a 1-month HIMO subscription. A big thank you to them. But we do have a little bit of news to break, because August 22nd, the 6 hours of Road America presented by Simunation, America's Racing League and High Point Racing will be taking place. And what's more, you'll be able to see it live on Racer Nexus, and it's powered by Advanced Sim Racing. What a race it's going to be. Road America, America's National Park of Speed, a 6-hour enduro which will involve LMDH, LMP2 and GT3. Sign-ups are available, and more to the point, it is going to be the full course. 360 minutes around a fast track that is one, just like Imola, Brian, that does not make it easy. When it bites back hard.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a tale of 2 circuits almost. The first half, you've got the big gravel traps waiting to trap you like a Venus flytrap. And the second half, you got big concrete walls that will punish any little mistake that you make. So almost a blend of a road course and a street circuit. And that's what makes Road America so exciting. So it's going to be a fantastic event. You'll be able to catch all 6 hours here on Racer Nexus, as you said, Alex. And it's going to be a fantastic event to be able to broadcast.
One of the other key things about this is that all the BOPs will be as per the iRacing 6 hours that was a little bit earlier on this year. But High Point Racing Imsa here at Imola has come to its inevitable conclusion. We have to say a big thank you once again to the sponsors of the league. Firstly, with title sponsors Hymo Setups, providing professional sim racing setups used by HPR drivers, helps to elevate the standard of racing across all classes. Then our friends over at Monster Designs, providing custom race liveries, professional designs, and branding for drivers and teams. Admin Box, have to say a big shout out to them. Broadcast and operational support helps race control, and it's an organizational tool which provides support for league operations and structure. We also have to say a big thank you to 2 new sponsors. Firstly, to colorists who provide art supplies, classes, and custom framing. Also to Smile Theory as well. Advanced Cosmetic and Implant Dentistry in Monmouth County, New Jersey. Smile Design Veneers, Invisalign, and dental implants with natural results. Well, that is it from us here at Racer Nexus. Imola is in the books, but the trip from Italy heads to the iconic Ardennes Forests this time. Same place, same time next week. But coming up on the schedule here on Racer Nexus, of course, Freedom Motorsport Alliance, WEC might still be going. We go to Special Stage Pro Trucks tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern. Breaking Bad Pushing Limits GT3, 11 p.m. Eastern on Saturday. And we've got Freedom Motorsport Gen 4, Apex this Mazda Cup, and Round 2, High Point Racing GT World Challenge this coming Sunday. We head to the Ardennes Forest with Frankenberry, Sanchez, Pinot, and Polisu, our race winners for the first of 10 rounds. Who will triumph in the Ardennes Forest? Join myself, Alex Goldschmidt, and Brian Zinn, along with our producer Marshall Crocker, next time out as we get ready for a blast around Belgium. Until next time, thanks for watching. We'll see you then.